Okay.
Tonight we are reading Henry VI, Part 2 by William Shakespeare, adapted by Taylor Phillips. Tonight playing King Henry VI and the Petitioner will be Bernard Bosio. Playing the Duke of York and the First Soldier,
Miguel Alejandro Fana. Break a leg, guys.
playing the Duke of Gloucester and Iden.
David Mackler.
Playing the Duke of Suffolk.
Marty Goldberg.
Playing Queen Margaret. Queen Margaret.
Valerie O'Hara. I think she said Queen Margaret.
Yep. Playing the Duke of Somerset and Jack Cade.
John Defilippo.
Playing the Duchess of Gloucester, Whitmore, and young Clifford.
Jennifer Finger.
Playing Cardinal, Bolingbroke, and old Clifford.
Tom Kane.
Playing the Earl of Warwick, Sir Humphrey Stafford, and the messenger.
Shaoul Rick Chason.
Playing the Duke of Buckingham, Herald, and the lieutenant.
Michael Genove.
Playing Richard, Lord Say, Hume, and Horner.
Lisbo.
Playing the Earl of Salisbury, second soldier, and the messenger.
Cedar.
Playing Dick Butcher, Peter, Spirit, Gentleman, and Messenger.
Lynne.
Act 1, Scene 1, London, the palace. Flourish of trumpets. Then hautboys. Enter King Henry, Duke Humphrey of Gloucester, Earl of Salisbury, Earl of Warwick, and Cardinal Beaufort. On the one side, Queen Margaret, William de la Pole, the Marquis of Suffolk, Duke of York, Duke of Somerset, and Duke of Buckingham on the other.
As by your high imperial majesty, I had in charge at my depart for France as procurator to your excellence to marry Princess Margaret for your grace. I have performed my task and was espoused.
He kneels.
And humbly now upon my bended knee in sight of England and her lordly peers, deliver up my title in the Queen to your most gracious hands. That are the substance of that great shadow I did represent, the happiest gift that ever Marquis gave, the fairest Queen that ever King received.
Suffolk, arise. Welcome, Queen Margaret. I can express no kinder sign of love than this kind kiss. King Henry kisses her. O Lord, that lends me life, lend me a heart replete with thankfulness. For thou hast given me in this beauteous space a world of earthly blessings to my soul. If sympathy of love unite our thoughts.
Most gracious Lord, the mutual conference that my mind had by night, waking and in my dreams, in courtly company and or at my beads with you, mine alder feast sovereign, makes me the bolder to salute my king with ruder terms, such as my wit affords and overjoy my heart doth minister.
Lords, with one cheerful voice, welcome my love. All kneel. Long live Queen Margaret, England's happiness.
We thank you all.
My Lord Protector, so it please your grace, here are the articles of contracted peace between our sovereign and the French King Charles for 18 months, concluded by consent.
Imprimis, it is agreed between the French King Charles and William de la Pole, Marquis of Suffolk, ambassador for Henry, King of England, that the said Henry shall espouse the Lady Margaret, daughter unto Rainier, King of Naples, Sicilia, and Jerusalem, and crown her Queen of England ere the 30th of May next ensuing. Item, that the Duchy of Anjou and the County of Maine shall be released and delivered to the king, her father.
Drops the paper. Uncle, how now?
Pardon me, gracious lord. Some sudden qualm hath struck me at the heart and dimmed mine eyes that I can read no farther.
Uncle of Winchester, I pray read on. The Cardinal picks up the paper and reads.
Item. It is further agreed between them that the duchies of Anjou and Maine shall be released and delivered to the king her father, and she sent over to the without.
They please us well, Lord Marquess. Kneel down. Suffolk kneels. We here create thee the first Duke of Suffolk, and girt thee with the sword. Suffolk rises. Cousin of York, we here discharge your grace from being regent in the parts of France till term of 18 months. Be full expired. Thanks, my gracious lords. We thank you for this great favor done in entertainment to my princely queen. Come, let us in, and with all speed provide to see her coronation be performed. Exit king, queen, and Suffolk. The rest remain.
Brave peers of England, pillars of the state, to you Duke Humphrey must unload his grief, your grief, the common grief of all the land. What, did my brother Henry spend his youth, his valor, coin, and people in the wars? Did he so often lodge in open field in winter's cold and summer's parching heat to conquer France, his true inheritance? And did my brother Bedford toil his wits to keep by policy what Henry got? Have you yourselves, Somerset, Buckingham, brave York, Salisbury, and victorious Warwick, received deep scars in France and Normandy? Or hath mine uncle Beaufort and myself, with all the learned counsel of the realm, studied so long, sat in the council house early and late, debating to and fro how France and Frenchmen might be kept in awe, and had his highness in his infancy crowned in Paris in despite of foes? And shall these labors and these honors die? Shall Henry's conquest, Bedford's vigilance, your deeds of war, and all our counsel die? O peers of England, shameful is this league, fatal this marriage, cancelling your fame, blotting your names from books of memory, raising the characters of your renown, defacing monuments of conquered France, undoing all as all had never been.
Nephew, what means this passionate discourse? For France 'tis ours, and we will keep it still.
Aye, uncle, we will keep it if we can, but now it is impossible we should. Suffolk, the new-made duke that rules the roast, hath given the Duchy of Anjou and Maine. These counties were the keys to Normandy.
Anjou and Maine? Myself did win them both. Those provinces these arms of mine did conquer, and are the cities that I got with wounds delivered up again with peaceful words.
For Suffolk's Duke, may he be suffocate that dims the honor of this warlike isle. France should have torn and rent my very heart before I would have yielded to this league. I never read but England's kings have had large sums of gold and dowry with their wives, and our King Henry gives away his own to match with her that brings no vantages.
He should have stayed in France and starved in France before...
My Lord of Gloucester, you grow too hot. It's the pleasure of my lord, the...
My Lord of Winchester, I know your mind. 'Tis not my speeches that you do mislike, but 'tis my presence that doth trouble you. Rancor will out. If I longer stay, we shall begin our ancient bickerings. Lordings, farewell, and say when I am gone, I prophesied France will be lost ere long.
Exit Gloucester.
So there goes our protector in a rage. 'Tis known to you he is mine enemy. Nay, more, and end all, and no great friend, I fear me, to the king. Consider, lords, he is the next of blood and heir apparent to the English crown. Had Henry got an empire by his own merit, and all wealthy kingdoms of the West, there's no reason he should be displeased at it. Look to it, lords. Let not his smoothing words bewitch your hearts. Be wise and circumspect, what though the common people favor him, calling him Humphrey, the good Duke of Gloucester, clapping their hands and crying with loud voice, Jesu maintain your royal excellence. I fear me, lords, for all this flattering was, he will be found a dangerous protector.
Why should he then protect our sovereign? He being of age to govern himself, cousin of Somerset, join you with me, and all together with the Duke of Suffolk, we'll quickly hose Duke Humphrey from his seat.
This weighty business will not brook delay. Out to the Duke of Suffolk presently.
Exit Cardinal.
Cousin of Buckingham, though Humphrey's pride and greatness of his place be grief to us, yet let us watch the hardy Cardinal. His insolence is more intolerable than all the princes in the land besides. If Gloucester be displaced, he'll be protector.
Or thou, or I, Somerset, will be protector, despite Duke Humphrey or the Cardinal.
Exit Buckingham and Somerset.
Pride went before. Ambition follows him. I never saw but Humphrey, Duke of Gloucester, did bear him like a noble gentleman. Oft have I seen the haughty cardinal, more like a soldier than a man of the church. As stout and proud as he were lord of all. Warwick, my son, the comfort of my age, thy deeds, thy plainness, and thy housekeeping hath won the greatest favor of the commons, excepting none but the good Duke Humphrey. And, brother York, thy acts in Ireland, in bringing them to civil discipline, thy late exploits done in the heart of France, when you wert regent of our sovereign, have made thee feared and honored of the people. Join we together for the public good, in what we can bridle and suppress the pride of Suffolk and the Cardinal, with Somerset's and Buckingham's ambition, and, as we may, cherish Duke Humphrey's deeds, while they do tend the profit of the land.
Will God help Warwick, as he loves the land, and common profit of his country.
And so says York, for he hath greatest cause.
Then let's make haste away and look unto the main.
Exit Warwick and Salisbury. York remains.
Anjou and Maine are given to the French. Paris is lost. The state of Normandy stands on a tickle point now they are gone. Suffolk concluded on the articles, the peers agreed, and Henry was well pleased to change 2 dukedoms for a duke's fair daughter. I cannot blame them all. What is to them? 'Tis thine they give away, and not their own. Pirates may make cheap pennyworths of their pillage and purchase friends, and give the courtesans, still reveling like lords, till all be gone. While, yes, the silly owner of the goods weeps over them, and wrings his hapless hands, and shakes his head, and trembling stands aloof, while all is shared and all is borne away, ready to starve, and dare not touch his own. So York must sit and fret and bite his tongue, while his own lands are bargained for and sold. A day will come when York shall claim his own, and therefore I take the Neville's parts, and make a show of love to proud Duke Humphrey, and when I spy advantage, claim the crown, for that's the golden mark I seek to hit. Nor shall proud Lancaster usurp my right, nor hold the scepter in his childish fist, nor wear the diadem upon his head, whose church-like humours fits not for a crown. Then, York, be still a while till time do serve. Watch thou and wake when others be asleep, to pry into the secrets of the state, till Henry, surfeiting the joys of love with his new bride and England's dear bright queen, and Humphrey with the peers be fallen at jars. Then will I rise aloft the milk-white rose, with whose sweet smell the air shall be perfumed, and in my standard bear the arms of York, to grapple with the house of Lancaster, and force perforce I'll make him yield the crown. Bookish rule hath pulled fair England down.
Exit York. Scene 2, Gloucester's house. Enter Gloucester, his wife, the Duchess Eleanor.
Why droops my lord like overripened corn, hanging the head at Ceres' plenteous load? Why are thine eyes fixed to the sullen earth, gazing on that which seems to dim thy sight? What seest thou there? King Henry's diadem, enchased with all the honors of the world? If so, gaze on and grovel on thy face until thy head be circled with the same. Put forth thy hand, reach at the glorious gold. What, is it too short? I'll lengthen it with mine. And having both together heaved it up, we'll both together lift our heads to heaven and nevermore abase our sight so low as to vouchsafe one glance unto the ground.
Oh, Nell, sweet Nell, if thou dost love thy lord, banish the canker of ambitious thoughts, and may that hour when I imagine ill against my king and nephew, virtuous Henry, be my last breathing in this mortal world. My troublous dreams this night doth make me sad.
What dream, my lord? Tell me, and I'll requite it with sweet rehearsal of my morning's dream.
Methought this staff, mine office badge in court, was broke in twain, by whom I have forgot, but as I think it was by the Cardinal, and on the pieces of the broken wand were placed the heads of Edmund, Duke of Somerset, and William de la Pole, first Duke of Suffolk. This was my dream. What it doth bode, God knows.
Tut, this was nothing but an argument that he that breaks a stick of Gloucester's grove shall lose his head for his presumption. But listen to me, my Humphrey, my sweet Duke. Methought I sat in seat of majesty in the Cathedral Church of Westminster, and in that chair where kings and queens were crowned, where Henry and Dame Margaret kneeled to me, and on my head did set the diadem.
Nay, Eleanor, then must I chide outright. Presumptuous dame, ill-nurtured Eleanor, art thou not second woman in the realm, and the Protector's wife, beloved of him? Hast thou not worldly pleasure at command, above the reach or compass of thy thought? And wilt thou still be hammering treachery to tumble down thy husband and thyself from top of honor to disgrace's feet? Away from me, and let me hear no more.
What? What, my lord? Are you so choleric with Eleanor for telling but her dream? Next time I'll keep my dreams unto myself and not be checked.
Nay, be not angry. I am pleased again.
Enter messenger.
My Lord Protector, 'tis his highness's pleasure you do prepare to ride unto St. Albans, whereas the king and queen do mean to hawk.
I go. Come now, wilt ride with us?
Yes, my good lord, I'll follow presently.
Exit Gloucester with messenger.
Follow I must. I cannot go before while Gloucester bears this base and humble mind. Were I a man, a duke, and next of blood, I will remove these tedious stumbling blocks and smooth my way upon their headless necks. And being a woman, I will not be slack to play my part in fortune's pageant. Where are you there, Sir John? Nay, fear not, man, we are alone. There's none but thee and I.
Enter Sir John Hume.
Jesus preserve your royal majesty.
What sayest thou, majesty? I am but grace.
But by the grace of God and Hume's advice, your grace's title shall be multiplied.
What sayest thou, man? Hast thou as yet conferred with Roger Bolingbroke the conjurer? And will he undertake to do me good?
This he has promised, to show your highness a spirit raised from depth of underground, that shall make answer to such questions, as by your grace shall be propounded him.
It is enough. I'll think upon the questions. When from St. Albans we do make return, we'll see these things effected to the full. Here, Hume, take this reward.
She gives him money.
Make merry, man, with thy confederates in this weighty cause.
Exit Duchess.
Dame Eleanor gives gold to bring the devil. Yet have I gold flies from another coast? I dare not say, from the rich Cardinal and from the great and new-made Duke of Suffolk. Yet I do find it so, for, to be plain, they, knowing Dame Eleanor's aspiring humor, have hired me to undermine the Duchess and buzz these conjurations in her brain. They say a crafty knave does need to know broker, yet am I Suffolk and the Cardinal's broker. Hume, if you take not heed, you shall go near to call them both a pair of crafty knaves. Well, so it stands, and thus I fear at last Hume's knavery will be the Duchess's rack, and her attenger will be Humphrey's fall. Sort how I shall have gold or all.
Exit Hume. Scene 3, the palace. Enter a petitioner with 3 or 4 more, Peter, the armorer's man, being one. My masters, let's stand close. My Lord Protector will come this way by and by, and then we may deliver our supplications in the quill. Enter Suffolk wearing the red rose, and Queen Margaret attended. Here he comes, methinks, and the Queen with him. It'll be the first, sure. He steps forward.
Back, fool! This is the Duke of Suffolk and not my Lord Protector.
How now, fellow? Wouldst anything with me?
I pray, my lord, pardon me. I took you for my Lord Protector.
To my Lord Protector, are your supplications to his lordship? Let me see them. What is thine?
Mine is, and it pleased your grace, against John Goodman, my Lord Cardinal's man, for keeping my house and lands and wife and all from me.
Thy wife too? That's some wrong indeed. What's yours?
Against my master, Thomas Horner, for saying that the Duke of York was rightful heir to the crown.
What sayest thou? Did the Duke of York say he was rightful heir to the crown?
That my master was? No, forsooth. My master said that he was, and that the king was a usurper.
Take this fellow in, and send for his master, with a pursuivance presently. We'll hear more of your matter before the king.
Exit Peter with an attendant.
And as for you that love to be protected under the wings of our protector's grace, begin your suits anew, and sue to him.
She tears the supplications.
Away, base cullions. Suffolk, let them go.
Come, let's be gone.
Exeunt all petitioners.
My Lord of Suffolk, say, is this the guise? Is this the fashions in the courts of England? What? Shall King Henry be a pupil still under the surly Gloucester's governance? And am I a queen in title and in style, and must be made a subject to a duke? I tell thee, Old, when in the city tour thou ranst a tilt in honor of my love, and stolest away the ladies' hearts of France, I thought King Henry had resembled thee in courage, courtship, and proportion. But all his mind is bent to holiness. His champions are the prophets and apostles, his weapons holy saws of secret writ. His study is his tiltyard, and his loves of brazen images of canonized saints. I would the college of the cardinals would choose him pope, and carry him to Rome, and set the triple crown upon his head, that were a state fit for his holiness.
Madam, be patient. As I was cause your highness came to England, so will I in England work your grace's full content.
Besides the haughty protector, we have Beaufort, the imperious churchman, Somerset, Buckingham, and grumbling York, and not the least of these, but can do more in England than the king.
And he of these that can do most of all cannot do more in England than the Nevilles. Salisbury and Warwick are no simple peers.
Oh, not all these lords do vex me half so much as that proud dame, the Lord Protector's wife. She sweeps it through the court with troops of ladies, more like an empress than Duke Humphrey's wife. Strangers in court do take her for the queen. She bears the duke's revenues on her back, and in her heart she scorns our poverty. Shall I not live to be avenged on her? Oh, contemptuous, base-born callet as she is, she vaunted amongst her minions the other day, the very train of her worst wearing gown was better worth than all my father's lands, till Suffolk gave 2 dukedoms for his daughter.
Madam, myself have limed a bush for her and placed a choir of such enticing birds that she will like to listen to the lays and never mount to trouble you again. So let her rest. And, madam, list to me, for I am bold to counsel you in this. Although we fancy not the cardinal, yet must we join with him and with his lords till we have brought Duke Humphrey in disgrace. As for the Duke of York, this late complaint will make but little for his benefit. So, one by one, will weed them all at last, and you yourself shall steer the happy helm.
Enter King Henry, Gloucester, Cardinal, Somerset, wearing the red rose, Buckingham, Salisbury, York, and Warwick, both wearing the white rose, and the Duchess.
For my part, noble lords, I care not which, or Somerset or York. All's one to me.
If York have ill demeaned himself in France, then let him be denied the regentship.
If Somerset be unworthy of the place, let York be regent. I will yield to him.
Dispute not that. York is the worthier.
Ambitious Warwick, let thy better speak.
Cardinal's not my better in the field.
All in this presence are the betters, Warwick.
Warwick may live to be the best of all.
Peace, son, and show some reason, Buckingham, why Somerset should be preferred in this.
Because the king, forsooth, will have it so.
Madam, the king is old enough himself to give his censure. These are no women's matters.
If he be old enough, what needs your grace to be protector of his excellence?
Madam, I am protector of the realm, and at his pleasure will resign my place.
Resign it, then, and leave thine insolence. Since thou wert king, as who is king but thou, the commonwealth hath daily run to wrack. The Dauphin hath prevailed beyond the seas, and all the peers and nobles of the realm hath been as bondmen to thy sovereignty.
The commons thou hast racked, the clergy's bags are lank and lean with thy extortions.
Thy sumptuous buildings and thy wife's attire have cost a mass of public treasury.
Thy sale of offices and towns in France, if they were known, is as suspect as the suspect is great, would make thee quickly hop without thy head.
Margaret drops her fan.
Give me my fan. What, minion, can you not?
She gives the Duchess a box on the ear.
I cry you mercy, madam. Was it you?
Was I? Yea, it was, proud French woman. Could I come near your beauty with my nails, I'd set my 10 commandments in your face.
Oh.
Sweet aunt, be quiet. 'Twas against her will.
Against her will, good king? Look to it in time. She'll hamper thee and dandle thee like a baby. Though in this place, most master wear no breeches. She shall not strike Dame Eleanor unrevenged.
Lord Cardinal, I will follow Eleanor. She's tickled now. Her fume needs no spurs. she'll gallop far enough to her destruction.
Exit Buckingham.
Lords, I come to talk of Commonwealth affairs. As for your spiteful false objections, prove them, and I lie open to the law. But God in mercy so deal with my soul as I in duty love my king and country. But to the matter that we have in hand, I say, my sovereign, York is the meetest man to be your regiment in the realm of France.
Before we make election, give me leave to show some reason of no little force, that York is most unmet of any man.
Enter Horner, the armorer, and his man Peter under God.
Because here is a man accused of treason. Pray God the Duke of York excuse himself.
Doth anyone accuse York for a traitor?
Oh, what meanest thou, Suffolk? Tell me, what are these?
Please it your majesty, this is the man that doth accuse his master of high treason. His words were these, that Richard, Duke of York, was rightful heir unto the English crown, and that your majesty was a usurper.
Say, man, were these thy words?
And shall please your majesty, I never said nor thought any such matter. God is my witness. I am falsely accused by the villain.
By these 10 bones, my lord, he did speak them to me in the garret one night as we were scouring my lord of York's armor.
Alas, my lord, hang me if I ever spake the words. My accuser is my prentice. And when I did correct him for his fault the other day, he did vow upon his knees he would be even with me. I have good witness of this. Therefore, I beseech your majesty, do not cast away an honest man for a villain's accusation.
Uncle, what shall we say to this in law?
This doom, my lord, if I may judge. Let Somerset be regent o'er the French, because in York this breeds suspicion. And let these have a day appointed them for a single combat in a convenient place, for he hath witness of his servant's malice. This is the law, and this Duke Humphrey's doom.
I humbly thank your royal majesty.
And I accept the combat willingly.
Alas, my lord, I cannot fight. For God's sake, pity my case.
Sirrah, or you must fight, or else be hanged.
Away with them to prison, and the day of combat shall be the last of the next month. Come, Somerset, we'll see thee sent away.
Exeunt. Scene 4, Gloucester's garden. Enter the Duchess of Gloucester and Hume aloft. Below, Bolingbroke, the conjurer. Bolingbroke.
Let me tell my work.
Well said, my master, and welcome all. To this gear, the sooner the better.
Patience, good lady. Wizards know their times. Deep not, dark not, the silent of the night, the time of night when Troy was set on fire, the time when screech owls cry and bandogs howl and spirits walk and ghosts break upon their graves. That time best fits the work we have in hand. Madam, sit you and fear not. Whom we raise, we will make fast in a hallowed verge.
Here he does the ceremonies belonging and makes the circle. Bolingbroke reads Conjuro te, etc. It thunders.
Conjuro te! Conjuro te!
It thunders and lightens terribly. Then the spirit riseth.
Hudson.
Hasmath! By the eternal God whose name and power thou tremblest at, answer that I shall ask. For till thou speak, thou shalt not pass from hence.
Ask what thou wilt. That I had said and done.
Bolingbroke reads from a paper and writes down the response.
First of the king. What shall of him become?
The Duke yet lives that Henry shall depose, but him outlive and die a violent death.
What fates await the Duke of Suffolk?
By water shall he die, and take his end.
What shall befall the Duke of Somerset?
Let him shun castles. Safer shall he be upon the sandy plains than where castles mounted stand.
Descend to darkness and the burning lake. False fiend, avoid!
Thunder and lightning. Exit spirit descending. Enter York and Buckingham with their guard and Sir Humphrey Stafford and break in.
Lay hands upon these traitors and their trash.
The guard arrest Hume and Bolingbroke and seize the papers.
Bedlam, I think we watched you at an inch. What, madam, are you there? The king and commonweal are deeply indebted for this piece of pains. My Lord Protector will, I doubt it not, see you well guerdoned for these good deserts.
Not half so bad as thine to England's king, injurious duke, that threats where there is no cause.
True, madam, none at all. What call you this? Away with them! Let them be clapped up close and kept asunder. You, madam, shall with us. Stafford, take her to thee.
Exit Stafford.
We'll see your trinkets here all forthcoming. All away!
Exit Bolingbroke under guard below. Hume and Duchess under guard aloft.
Lord Buckingham, methinks you watched him well. A pretty plot, well chosen to build upon. Now, pray, my lord, let's see what the devil's writ.
Buckingham hands him the papers.
What have we here? The Duke yet lives that Henry shall depose, but him outlive and die a violent death. Come, come, my lord, these oracles are hardly attained and hardly understood. The king is now in progress towards St. Albans, with him the husband of this lovely lady. Thither goes these news as fast as horse can carry them. A sorry breakfast for my Lord Protector.
Your grace shall give me leave, my Lord of York, to be the post in hope of his reward.
At your pleasure, my good lord.
Exit Buckingham.
Who's within there, ho?
Enter a servingman.
Invite my lords of Salisbury and Warwick to sup with me tomorrow night. Away.
Exeunt. Act 2, Scene 1, St. Albans. Enter King Henry, Queen Margaret, Gloucester, Cardinal, Suffolk, attendants with falconers hallowing.
Believe me, lords, for flying at the brook I saw not better sport these 7 years' day. Yet by your leave the wind was very high, and 10 to 1, old Joan had not gone out.
But what a point, my lord, your falcon made, and what a pitch she flew above the rest. To see how God in all his creatures works, yea, man, and birds are fain of climbing high.
No marvel. And it like your majesty, my lord Protector's hawks do tower so well. They know their master loves to be aloft, and bears his thoughts above his falcon's pitch.
My lord, 'tis but a basic noble mind that mounts no higher than a bird can soar.
I thought as much. He would be above the clouds.
Aye, my lord Cardinal, how think you by that? Were it not good your grace could fly to heaven?
The treasury of everlasting joy.
Thy heaven is on earth. Thine eyes and thoughts beat on a crown, the treasure of thy heart. Pernicious protector, dangerous peer, that smoothest it so with king and commonweal?
For what, Cardinal? Is your priesthood grown peremptory? Churchmen so hot? Good uncle, hide such malice. With such holiness, can you do it?
No malice, sir. No more than well becomes so good a quarrel and so bad a peer.
As who, my lord?
Why, as you, my lord, and it's like your lordly lord protectorship.
Why, Suffolk, England knows thine insolence.
And thy ambition, Gloucester.
Prithee, peace, good queen, and wet not on these furious peers, for blessed are the peacemakers on earth.
Let me be blessed for the peace I make, and against this proud protector with my sword.
Faith, holy uncle, would 'twere come to that.
Marry, and would thou darest, and if thou darest this evening on the east side of the grove, come with thy two-handed sword.
Are you advised? The east side of the grove.
I am with you.
How now, my lords?
Talking of hawking, nothing else, my lord.
Enter Buckingham.
Oh, what tidings with our cousin Buckingham?
Such as my heart doth tremble to unfold. A sort of naughty persons, lewdly bent under the countenance and confederacy of Lady Eleanor, the protector's wife, the ringleader and head of all this rout, that practice dangerously against your state, dealing with witches and with conjurers, whom we have apprehended in the fact, raising up wicked spirits from underground, demanding of King Henry's life and death, and other of your highness privy council, as more at large your grace shall understand.
And so, my lord protector, by this means, your lady is forthcoming yet at London. This news, I think, hath turned your weapon's edge. 'Tis like, my lord, you will not keep your hour.
Oh, God, what mischiefs work the wicked ones, heaping confusion on their own heads thereby.
Gloucester, see here the tainture of thy nest, and look thyself be faultless, were thou best.
Madam, for myself, to heaven I do appeal, how I have loved my king and commonweal. And for my wife, I know not how it stands. Sorry I am to hear what I have heard. Noble she is, but if she have forgot honor and virtue, and conversed with such as like to pitch defile nobility, I banish her my bed and company, and give her as prey to law and shame, that hath dishonored Gloucester's honest name.
Well, for this night we will repose us here, tomorrow toward London back again, to look into this business thoroughly, and call these foul offenders to their answers, and poise the cause in justice's equal scales, whose beam stands sure, whose rightful cause prevails.
Flourish. Exeunt. Scene 2, London, York's garden. Enter York, Salisbury, and Warwick.
Oh, my good lords of Salisbury and Warwick, our simple supper ended, give me leave in this close walk to satisfy myself in craving your opinion of my title, which is infallible to England's crown.
My lord, I long to hear it at full.
Bid York, begin, and if thy claim be good, the Nevilles are thy subjects to command.
Then thus. Edward III, my lord, had 7 sons. The first, Edward the Black Prince, Prince of Wales. The second, William of Hatfield. And the third, Lionel, Duke of Clarence, next to whom was John of Gaunt, the Duke of Lancaster. The fifth was Edmund Langley, Duke of York. The sixth was Thomas of Woodstock, Duke of Gloucester. William of Windsor was the seventh and the last. Edward the Black Prince died before his father and left behind him Richard, his only son, who, after Edward III's death, reigned as king till Henry Bolingbroke, Duke of Lancaster, the eldest son and heir of John of Gaunt, crowned by the name of Henry IV, seized the realm, deposed the rightful king, sent his poor queen to France, from whence she came, and him to Pomfret, where, as you all know, harmless Richard was murdered traitorously. Father, the Duke hath told the truth. Thus got the house of Lancaster the crown, which now they hold by force, and not by right. For Richard, the first son's heir, being dead, the issue of the next son should have reigned.
But William of Hatfield died without an heir.
The third son, Duke of Clarence, from whose line I claim the crown, had issue Philippa, a daughter, who married Edmund Mortimer, Earl of March. Edmund had issue Roger, Earl of March. Roger had issue Edmund, Anne, and Eleanor.
This Edmund, in the reign of Bolingbroke, as I have read, laid claim unto the crown, and, but for Owen Glendower, had been king, who kept him in captivity till he died. But to the rest.
His eldest sister, Anne, my mother, being heir unto the crown, carried Richard, Earl of Cambridge, who was son to Edmund Langley, Edward III's fifth son. By her I claim the kingdom. She was heir to Roger, Earl of March, who was the son of Edmund Mortimer, who married Philippa, sole daughter unto Lionel, Duke of Clarence. So, if the issue of the eldest son succeed before the younger, I am king.
What plain proceedings is more plain than this? Henry doth claim the crown from John of Gaunt, the fourth son. York claims it from the third. Till Lionel's issue falls, he should not reign. Then, Father Salisbury, kneel we together, and in this private plot be we the first that shall salute our rightful sovereign with honor of his birthright to the crown.
Salisbury and Warwick kneel.
Long live our sovereign Richard, England's king.
We thank you, Lord.
They rise.
But I am not your king till I be crowned, and that my sword be stained with hot blood of the house of Lancaster. And that's not suddenly to be performed, but with advice and silent secrecy. Do you as I do in these dangerous days. Wink at the Duke of Suffolk's insolence, at Beaufort's pride, at Somerset's ambition, at Buckingham and all the crew of them, till they have snared the shepherd of the flock, that virtuous prince, the good Duke Humphrey. 'Tis that they seek, and they, in seeking that, shall find their deaths. If York can prophesy.
My lord, break we off. We know your mind is full.
My heart assures me that the Earl of Warwick shall one day make the Duke of York king.
And, Neville, this I do assure myself. Richard shall live to make the Earl of Warwick the greatest man in England, but the king.
Exeunt. Scene 3. Palace, a Hall of Justice. Sound trumpets. Enter King Henry, Queen Margaret, Gloucester, York, Salisbury, Suffolk, and others with guard. Duchess of Gloucester, accompanied by Hume and Bolingbroke, all guarded.
Then forth Dame Eleanor Cobham, Gloucester's wife, In sight of God and us, your guilt is great. Receive the sentence of the law for sins, such as by God's book are adjudged to death. You two, from hence to prison back again, from thence unto the place of execution. For you two shall be strangled on the gallows. You, madam, for you are more nobly born, despoiled of your honor in your life, shall, after 3 days open penance done, live in your country here in banishment.
Welcome is banishment. Welcome were my death.
Eleanor, the law, thou seest, hath judged thee. I cannot justify whom the law condemns.
Duchess and other prisoners exit under guard.
Mine eyes are full of tears, my heart of grief. Ah, Humphrey, this dishonor in thine age will bring thy head with sorrow to the ground. I beseech your majesty, give me leave to go. Sorrow would solace, and mine age would ease.
Stay, Humphrey, Duke of Gloucester. Ere thou go, give up thy staff. Henry will to himself protector be, and God shall be my hope, my stay, my guide, and lantern to my feet. And go in peace, Humphrey, no less beloved than when thou wert protector to thy king.
No reason why a king of yours and the king his realm.
My staff? Here, noble Henry, it is my staff.
He puts down his staff before Henry.
As willingly do I the same resign, as ere my father Henry made it mine, as ere thy father Henry made it mine, and even as willingly at thy feet I leave it, as others would ambitiously receive it. Farewell, good king. When I am dead and gone, may honorable peace attend thy throne.
Exit Gloucester. Henry picks up the staff.
Why, now is Henry king and Margaret queen, and Humphrey, Duke of Gloucester, scarce himself that bears so shrewd a mane. 2 pulls at once, his lady banished, and a limb lopped off. His staff of honor wrought, there let it stand, where it best fits to be, in Henry's hand.
Thus droops this lofty pine and hangs his sprays. Thus Eleanor's pride dies in her youngest days.
Lords, let him go. Please it your majesty, this is the day appointed for the combat, and ready are the appellant and defendant, the armorer and his man, to enter the lists, so please your highness to behold the fight.
Aye, good my lord, for purposely therefore left I the court to see this quarrel tried.
In God's name, see the lists and all things fit. Here, let them end it, and God defend the right.
Never saw a fellow worse bestead, or more to fight, or more afraid to fight than is the appellant, the servant of this armorer, my lords.
Enter at one door the armorer Horner and his neighbors, shouting and drinking to him so much that he is drunk. He enters with a drum before him and his staff with a sandbag fastened to it. The other door is his man Peter with a drum and sandbag, his supporters shouting and drinking, but he himself refusing drink.
Let it come, faith, and I'll pledge you all, and a fig for Peter.
They drink.
I thank you all. Drink and pray for me, I pray you, for I think I have taken my last draught in this world. Here, Robin, and if I die, I give thee my apron. And Will, thou shalt have my hammer. And here, Tom, take all the money that I have.
He distributes his possessions.
Oh, Lord, bless me, I pray you, God, for I am never able to deal with my master. He hath learnt so much fence already.
Come, leave your drinking and fall to blows. Sirrah, what's thy name?
Peter, forsooth.
What more?
Thump.
Thump. Oh, then see thou thump thy master well.
Masters, I come hither, as it were, upon my man's instigation, to prove him a knave and myself an honest man. And touching the Duke of York, I will take my death. I never meant him any ill, nor the king nor the queen. And therefore, Peter, have at thee with a downright blow.
Dispatch! This knave's tongue begins to double. Sound, trumpets! Alarm to the combatants!
The trumpet sounds. They fight. Peter strikes him down. Horner dies. York.
Take away his weapon. Fellow, thank God in the good wine in thy master's way.
Oh, Peter, thou hast prevailed in right!
Go, take hence that traitor from our sight, for by his death we do perceive his guilt, and God in justice hath revealed to us the truth and innocence of this poor fellow. Come, fellow, follow us for thy reward.
Sound a flourish. Exeunt bearing Horner's body. Scene 4, a street. Enter Gloucester and his men in mourning cloaks.
Thus sometimes hath the brightest day a cloud, and after summer evermore succeeds barren winter with his wrathful nipping cold. So cares and joys abound as seasons fleet. 10 is the hour that was appointed me to watch the coming of my punished Duchess. Uneath may she endure the flinty streets, to tread them with her tender feeling feet. Sweet Nell, ill can thy noble mind abrook the abject people gazing in thy face, with envious looks laughing at thy shame, that erst did follow thy proud chariot wheels, when thou didst ride in triumph through the streets. But soft, I think she comes, and I'll prepare my tear-stained eyes to see her miseries.
Enter the Duchess barefoot in a white sheet, with papers pinned to her back and a taper burning in her hand, attended by the sheriff and his officers.
Come you, my lord, to see my open shame? Now thou dost penance too. Look how they gaze. See how the giddy multitude do point and nod their heads and throw their eyes on thee. Ah, Gloucester, hide thee from their hateful looks, and in thy closet pent up, rue my shame, and ban thine enemies, both mine and thine.
Be patient, gentle Nell. Forget this grief.
Ah, Gloucester, teach me to forget myself. For whilst I think I am thy merry wife, and thou a prince, protector of this land, methinks I should not thus be led along, nailed up in shame with papers on my back, and follow with the rabble that rejoice to see my tears and hear my deep fed groans. This ruthless flint has cut my tender feet. And when I start, the envious people laugh and bid me be advised how I tread. Oh, Humphrey, can I bear this shameful yoke? Trowest thou that ere I'll look upon the world or count them happy that enjoys the sun? No. Dark shall be my light and night my day. To think my pomp shall be my hell. Sometimes I'll say I am Duke Humphrey's wife, and he a prince and ruler of the land. Yet so he ruled, and such a prince he was, as he stood by whilst I, his forlorn Duchess, was made a wonder and a pointing stock to every idle rascal follower. But be thou mild, and blush not at my shame, nor stir at nothing till the axe of death hang over thee, as sure, it surely will. For Suffolk, he that can do all in all with her that hateth thee and hates us all. In York, and impious Beaufort, that false priest. Of all lying bushes to betray thy wings, and fly thou how thou canst, they'll tangle thee. But fear not thou until thy foot be snared, nor never seek prevention of thy foes.
Ah, Nell, forbear. Thou aimest all awry. I must offend before I be attained. attainted, and had I 20 times so many foes, each of them had 20 times their power, all these could not procure me any scathe, so long as I am loyal, true, and crimeless. Wouldst have me rescue thee from this reproach? Why, yet thy scandal were not wiped away, but I in danger for the breach of law. Thy greatest help is quiet, gentle Nell. I pray thee, sort thy heart to patience. These few days' wonder will be quickly worn.
Enter a herald.
I summon your grace to his majesty's parliament, holden at Bury the 1st of this next month.
And my consent ne'er asked herein before? This is close dealing. Well, I will be there.
Exit herald.
My Nell, I take my leave. Witness my tears. I cannot stay to speak.
Exit Gloucester.
Art thou gone too? What comfort go with thee, for none abides with me. My joy is death, death, at whose name I oft have been afeared, because I wish this world's eternity. Sheriff, I pray thee, go and take me hence. I care not whither, for I beg no favor. Only convey me where thou art commanded. My shame will not be shifted with my sheep. No, it will hang upon my richest robes and show itself. Tire me how I can. Go, lead the way. I long to see my prison.
Exeunt. Act 3, Scene 1. The Abbey at Bury St. Edmunds. Sound of Senate. Enter King Henry, Queen Margaret, Cardinal, Suffolk, York, Buckingham, Salisbury, Warwick, and others to the Parliament.
I muse my Lord of Gloucester is not come. 'Tis not his wont to be the hindmost man, whate'er the occasion keeps him from us now.
Can you not see, or will you not observe this strangeness of his altered countenance? With what a majesty he bears himself, how insolent of late he has become, how proud, how peremptory, how unlike himself he knits his brow and shows an angry eye, and passes by with stiff unbowed knee, disdaining duty that to us belongs. Small curs are not regarded when they grin, but great men tremble when the lion roars, and Humphrey is no little man in England. First, note that he is near you in descent, and should you fall, he is next will mount. Meseemeth then is no policy respecting what a rancorous mind he bears, and his advantage following your decrease that he should come about your royal person or be admitted to your highness's council. By flattery hath he won the commons' heart, and when he please to make commotion, 'tis to be feared they all will follow him. Now 'tis the spring, and weeds are shallow rooted. Suffer them now, and they'll o'ergrow the garden and choke the herbs for want of husbandry. The reverent care I bear unto my lord made me collect these dangers in the Duke. My lords of Suffolk, Buckingham, and York, reprove my allegation if you can, or else conclude my words effectual.
Well hath your highness seen into this Duke, and had I first been put to speak my mind, I think I should have told your grace's tale. The Duchess, by his subordination upon my life, began her devilish practices, or if he were not privy to those faults, yet by reputing of his high descent, as next the king he was successive heir, and such high vaunts of his nobility, did instigate the bedlam brain-sick Duchess by wicked means to frame our sovereign's fall. Smooth run the waters where the brook is deep, and in his simple show he harbors treason. No, my sovereign, Gloucester is a man unsounded yet, and full of deep deceit.
Did he not, contrary to form of law, devise strange deaths, for small offences done.
And did he not, in his protectorship, levy great sums of money through the realm for soldiers' pay in France, and never sent it by means whereof the towns each day revolted?
My lords, at once the care you have of us to mow down thorns that would annoy our foot is worthy praise. But shall I speak my conscience? Our kinsman Gloucester is as innocent from meaning treason as our royal person, as is the sucking lamb or a harmless dove. The Duke is virtuous, mild, and too well given to dream on evil or to work my downfall.
Ah, what's more dangerous than this fond alliance? Seems he a dove? His feathers are but borrowed, for he's disposed as the hateful raven. Is he a lamb? His skin is surely lent him, for he's inclined as is the ravenous wolves. Who cannot steal a shape that means deceit? Take heed, my lord. The welfare of us all hangs on the cutting short of that fraudful man.
Enter Somerset.
All health unto my gracious sovereign.
Ah, welcome, Lord Somerset. What news from France?
That all your interest in those territories is utterly bereft you. All is lost.
Cold news, Lord Somerset. But God's will be done.
Cold news for me, for I had hope of France as firmly as I hoped for fertile England. Thus are my bosom blasted in the bud, and caterpillars eat my leaves away. But I will remedy this gear ere long, or sell my title for a glorious grave.
Enter Gloucester.
All happiness unto my lord the king. Pardon, my liege, that I have stayed so long.
Nay, Gloucester, know that thou art come too soon, unless thou wert more loyal than thou art. I do arrest thee for high treason here.
Well, Suffolk, thou shalt not see me blush, nor change my countenance for this arrest. A heart unspotted is not easily daunted. The purest spring is not so free from mud as I am clear from treason to my sovereign. Who can accuse me? Wherein am I guilty?
'Tis thought, my lord, that you took bribes of France, and being protector, stayed the soldiers' pay, by means whereof his highness hath lost France.
Is it but thought so? What are they that think it? I never robbed the soldiers of their pay, nor ever had one penny bribe from France. No, many a pound of mine own proper store, because I would not tax the needy commons, have I dispersed to the garrisons, and never asked for restitution.
In your protectorship, you did devise strange tortures for offenders never heard of, that England was defamed by tyranny.
Why, 'tis well known that whilst I was protector, pity was all the fault that was in me. Unless it were a bloody murderer or foul felonious thief that fleeced poor passengers, I never gave them condign punishment.
My lord, these faults are easy, quickly answered, but mightier crimes are laid unto your charge, whereof you cannot easily purge yourself. I do arrest you in his highness's name, and here commit you to my lord cardinal, to keep until your further time of trial.
My lord of Gloucester, 'tis my special hope that you will clear yourself from all suspense. My conscience tells me that you are innocent.
Ah, my gracious lord, these days are dangerous. Virtue is choked with foul ambition, and charity chased hence by a rancor's hand. Foul subornation is predominant, and equity exiled your highness's land. I know their complot is to have my life, and if my death might make this island happy and prove the period of their tyranny, I would expend it with all willingness. But mine is made the prologue to their play, for thousands more that yet suspect no peril will not conclude their plotted tragedy. Beaufort's red sparkling eyes blab his heart's malice, and Suffolk's cloudy brows his stormy hate, and dogged York that reaches at the moon, whose overweening arm I have plucked back, by false accused doth level at my life. And you, my sovereign lady, with the rest, causeless have laid disgraces on my head, and with your best endeavor have stirred up my lifest liege to be mine enemy. I, all of you, have laid your heads together. Myself had notice of your conventicles, and all to make way my guiltless life. I shall not want false witness to condemn me, nor store of treasons to augment my guilt. The ancient proverb will be well effected. A staff is quickly found to beat a dog.
My liege, this railing is intolerable. If those that care to keep your royal person from treason, secret knife, and traitor's rage be thus upbraided, chid, and rated at, and the offender granted scope of speech, 'twill make them cool in zeal unto your grace. Sirs, take away the Duke and guard him sure.
Ah, thus King Henry throws away his crutch before his legs be firm to bear his body. Thus is the shepherd beaten from thy side, and wolves are gnarling who shall gnaw thee first. Ah, that my fear were false. Ah, that it were. For, good King Henry, thy decay I fear.
Exit Gloucester, guarded by the Cardinal's men.
My lords, what to your wisdom seemeth best, do or undo, as if ourself were there.
What? Will your highness leave the parliament?
Aye, Margaret. My heart is drowned with grief, whose flood begins to flow within mine eyes. My body round and girt with misery. For what's more miserable than discontent? Uncle Humphrey, in thy face I see the map of honor, truth, and loyalty. And yet, good Humphrey, is the hour to come that ere I prove thee false or fear thy faith? What glowering star now envies thy estate, that these great lords and Margaret our queen do seek subversion of thy harmless life? Thou never didst them wrong, nor no man wrong. And as a butcher takes away the cap and binds the wretch and beats it when it strains, bearing it to bloody slaughterhouse, even so remorseless have they borne him hence. And as the dam runs, flowing up and down, looking the way her harmless young one went, and can do naught but wail her darling's loss, even so myself bewails good Gloucester's cause with sad, unhelpful tears, and with dimmed eyes look after him, and cannot do him good. So mighty are his vowed enemies, his fortunes I will weep, and twixt each groan say, who's the traitor? Gloucester, he is none.
Exeunt King Henry with Buckingham, Salisbury, Warwick, and others. Somerset steps aside.
Free lords, cold snow melts with the sun's hot beams. Henry, my lord, is cold in great affairs, too full of foolish pity, and Gloucester's show beguiles him. Believe me, lords, were none more wise than I, and yet herein I judge mine own wit good, this Gloucester should be quickly rid the world, to rid us from the fear we have of him.
That he should die is worthy policy, but yet we want a color for his death. 'Tis meet he be condemned by course of law.
But in my mind, that were no policy. The king will labor still to save his life. The commons happily rise to save his life. and yet we have but trivial argument, more than mistrust, that shows him worthy of death.
'Tis York that hath more reason for his death. But, my Lord Cardinal, and you, my Lord of Suffolk, say as you think, and speak it from your souls. Were't not all one an empty eagle were set to guard the chicken from a hungry kite, as placed Duke Humphrey for the king's protector?
Though the poor chicken should be so sure of death.
Madam, 'tis true, and were it not madness then to make the fox surveyor of the fold, who, being accused a crafty murderer, his guilt should be but idly posted over, because his purpose is not executed? No, let him die, in that he is a fox, by nature proved an enemy to the flock, before his chaps be stained with crimson blood, as Humphrey proved by reasons to my liege, and do not stand on quillets how to slay him, be it by gins, by snares, by subtlety, sleeping or waking. 'Tis no matter how, so he be dead, for that is good deceit, which mates him first, that first intends deceit.
Thrice noble Suffolk, 'tis resolutely spoke.
Not resolute, except so much were done, for things are often spoke and seldom meant. Be that my heart accordeth with my tongue, seeing the deed is meritorious, and to preserve my sovereign from his foe, say but the word, and I will be his priest.
I would have him dead, my lord of Suffolk, ere you can take due orders for a priest. Say you consent and censure well the deed, and I'll provide the executioner. I tender so the safety of my liege.
Here is my hand, the deed is worthy doing.
And so say I.
And I. And now we three have spoken. It skills not greatly who impugns our doom.
Great lords, from Ireland am I come amain to signify that rebels there are up, and put the Englishmen unto the sword. Send succours, lords, and stop the rage betime before the wounds do grow uncurable. For being green, there's great hope of help.
A breach that craves a quick expedient stop. What counsel give you in this weighty cause?
That Somerset be sent as regent thither. 'Tis meet that lucky ruler be employed. Witness the fortune he hath had in France.
If York, with all his far-fetched policy, had been the regent there instead of me, he never would have stayed in France so long.
No, not to lose it all, as thou hadst done. I rather would have lost my life betimes than bring a burden of dishonor home by staying there so long till it were all lost. Show me one scar charactered on thy skin. Men's flesh preserved so whole do seldom win.
Nay then, this spark will prove a raging fire, if wind and fuel be brought to feed it with. No more, good York. Sweet Somerset, be still. Thy fortune, York, hadst thou been regent there, might happily have proved far worse than this.
What? Worse than naught? Nay, then a shame take it all.
My lord of York, try what your fortune is. The uncivil kerns of Ireland are in arms, and temper clay with blood of Englishmen. To Ireland will you lead a band of men, collected choicely, from each county some, and try your hat against the Irishmen?
I am content. Provide me soldiers, lords, whilst I take order for mine own affairs.
A charge, Lord York, that I will see performed. But now return we to the false Duke Humphrey.
No more of him, for I will deal with him, that henceforth he shall trouble us no more. And so break off. The day is almost spent. Lord Suffolk, you and I must talk of that event.
My lord of Suffolk, within 14 days at Bristol, I expect my soldiers. For there I'll ship them all for Ireland.
I'll see it truly done, my lord of York.
Exeunt all but York.
Now, York, or never, steel thy fearful thoughts and change misdoubt to resolution. Be that thou hopest to be, or what thou art resigned to death. It is not worth the enjoying. Let pale-faced fear keep with a mean-born man, and find no harbor in a royal heart. Faster than springtime showers comes thought on thought, and not a thought, but thinks on dignity. My brain, more busy than the laboring spider, weaves tedious snares to trap mine enemies. Well, nobles, well, 'tis politically done to send me packing with a host of men. 'Twas men I lacked, and you will give them me. I take it kindly, yet be well assured you put sharp weapons in a madman's hands. Whilst I in Ireland nourish a mighty band, I will stir up in England some black storm, shall blow 10,000 souls to heaven or hell, and this fell tempest shall not cease to rage until the golden circuit on my head, like to the glorious sun's transparent beams, do calm the fury of this mad-bred flaw. For a minister of my intent, I have seduced a headstrong Kentishman, John Cade of Ashford, to make commotion as full well he can, under the title of John Mortimer. This devil here shall be my substitute, for that John Mortimer, which is now dead, in face and gait and species doth resemble. By this I shall perceive the commons' mind, how they affect the house and claim of York. Say ye be taken, racked, and tortured. I know no pain they can inflict upon him will make him say I moved him to those arms. Say that he thrive, as 'tis great like he will. Why, then from Ireland come I with my strength, and reap the harvest which that rascal sowed. For Humphrey being dead, as he shall be, and Henry but apart, the next for me.
Exit York. Scene 2. Bury St. Edmunds, a room of state. Enter 2 or 3 running over the stage from the murder of Gloucester, meeting Suffolk.
Now, good sirs, that you have dispatched this thing, have laid fair the bed, and all things done well according as I gave directions, go, get you to my house. I will reward you for this venturous deed. Go, be gone. The king and all the peers are here at hand.
The murderers exit. Sound trumpets. Enter King Henry, Queen Margaret, Cardinal, Somerset with attendants.
Go, call our uncle to our presence straight. Say we intend to try his grace today, if he be guilty, as 'tis published.
I'll call him presently, my noble lord.
Exit Suffolk.
Lords, take your places, and I pray you all, proceed no straight against our uncle Gloucester than from true evidence of good esteem he be approved in practice culpable.
God forbid any malice should prevail that faultless may condemn a nobleman. Pray God he may acquit him of suspicion.
I thank thee, Meg. These words content me much.
Re-enter Suffolk.
How now? Why lookest thou pale? Why tremblest thou? Where is our uncle? What's the matter, Suffolk?
Dead in his bed, my lord. Gloucester is dead.
Marry God forfend.
Judgment tonight. That Duke was dumb and could not speak a word.
How fares my lord? Help, Lord! The king is dead. Run! Go! Help! Help! Oh, Henry! Oh, thine eyes!
King Henry stirs.
He doth revive again. Madam, patience.
Oh, heavenly God!
Comfort my sovereign. Gracious Henry, comfort.
What, doth my lord Suffolk comfort me? Came he right now to sing a raven's note whose dismal tune bereft my vital powers, and thinks he that the chirping of a wren by crying comfort from a hollow breast can chase away this first conceived sound? hide not thy poison with such sugared words. Lay not thy hands on me. Forbear, I say. The touch affrights me as a serpent's sting. Thou baleful messenger, out of my sight. Upon thy eyeballs, murderous tyranny sits in grim majesty to fright the world. Look not upon me, for thine eyes are wounding. Yet do not go away. Come, basilisk, and kill the innocent gazer with thy sight, for in the shade of death I shall find joy. In life but double death, now Gloucester's dead.
Why do you rate my lord of Suffolk thus? Although the Duke was enemy to him, yet he most Christian-like laments his death. And for myself, foe as he was to me, might liquid tears of heart-offering groans or blood-consuming sighs recall his life, I would be blind with weeping, sick with groans, look pale as primrose with blood-drinking sighs, and all to have the noble Duke alive. But know I how the world may deem of me? For it is known we were but hollow friends. It may be judged I made the Duke away. So shall my name with slander's tongue be wounded, and princes' courts be filled with my reproach. This get I by his death, I, me, unhappy, to be queen and crowned with infamy.
Oh, woe is me for Gloucester, wretched man.
Be woe for me, more wretched than he is. What, dost thou turn away and hide thy face? I am no loathsome leper. Look on me. What, art thou like the adder, waxen deaf? Be poisonous too, and kill thy forlorn queen. Is all thy comfort shut in Gloucester's tomb? Was I for this nigh racked upon the sea, and twice by awkward wind from England's bank drove back again unto my native clime? What did I then but curse the gentle gusts, and he that loosed them forth thy brazen craves, and bid them blow against England's blessed shore, or turn our stern upon the dreadful rock? The pretty vaulting sea refused to drown me, knowing that thou wouldst have me drowned on shore with tears as salt as sea. Through thy unkindness, the splitting rocks crowd the shrinking sands and would not dash me with their rugged sides, because thy flinty heart, more hard than they, might in their place perish, Margaret. How often have I tempted Suffolk's tongue, the agent of thy foul inconsistency, to sit and watch me, as Ascanius did when he to maddening Dido would unfold his father's acts commenced in burning Troy. I am not witched like her, or thou not false like him? Ay me, I can no more. Die, Margaret, for Henry weeps that thou dost live so long.
Noise within, enter Warwick and Salisbury.
It is reported, mighty sovereign, that good Duke Humphrey traitorously is murdered by Suffolk and the Cardinal Beaufort's means. The commons, like an angry hive of bees that want their leader, scatter up and down, and care not who they sting in his revenge. Myself have calmed their spleeful mutiny, until they hear the order of his death.
That he is dead, good Warwick, 'tis too true. But how he died, God knows, not Henry. Enter his chamber, view his breathless corpse, and comment then upon his sudden death.
That shall I do, my liege. Stay, Salisbury, with the rude multitude till I return.
Exit Warwick through one door, Salisbury through the door they came from, where the commoners still make noise.
O thou that judgest all things, stay my thoughts that labor to persuade my soul some violent hands were laid upon Humphrey's life. If my suspect be false, forgive me, God, for judgment only doth belong to thee. Fain would I go to chafe his paly lips with 20,000 kisses, and to drain upon his face an ocean of salt tears, to tell my love unto his dumb deaf trunk, and with my fingers feel his hand unfeeling. But all in vain are these mean obsequies, and to survey his dead and earthly image, what were it but to make my sorrow greater?
Dead put forth, bearing Gloucester's body, re-enter Warwick.
Hither, gracious sovereign, view this body.
That is to see how deep my grave is made. For with his soul fled all my worldly solace. For seeing him, I see my life in death.
As surely as my soul intends to live with that dread king that took our state upon him to free us from his father's wrathful curse, I do believe that violent hands were laid upon the life of this thrice-famed duke.
A dreadful oath, sworn with a solemn tongue. What instance gives Lord Warwick for his vow?
See how the blood is settled in his face. See, his face is black and full of blood. His eyeballs further out than when he lived, staring full ghastly, like a strangled man. His hair upreared, his nostrils stretched with struggling, his hands abroad displayed, as one that grasped and tugged for life as he was by strength subdued. Look, on the sheets his hair, you see, is sticking, his well-proportioned beard made rough and rugged, like to the summer's corn by tempest lodged. It cannot be but he was murdered here. The least of all these signs were probable.
The bed with the body is removed.
Why, Warwick, who should do the Duke to death? Myself and Beaufort had him in protection, and we, I hope, sir, are no murderers.
But both of you were vowed Duke Humphrey's foes. And you, forsooth, had the good Duke to keep. 'Tis like you would not feast him like a friend, and 'tis well seen he found an enemy.
Then you, belike, suspect these noblemen as guilty of Duke Humphrey's timeless death.
Who finds this heifer dead and bleeding fresh, and sees passed by a butcher with an axe, but will suspect 'twas he that made the slaughter? Who finds the partridge in his puttock's nest, but may imagine how the bird was dead, although the kite soar with unbloodied beak? Even so suspicious is this tragedy.
Are you the butcher, Suffolk? Where's your knife? Is Beaufort termed a kite? Where is Howden?
I wear no knife to slaughter sleeping men, but here's a vengeful sword rusted with ease, that shall be scoured in his rancorous heart that slanders me with murder's crimson badge. Say, if thou darest, proud lord of Warwickshire, that I am faulty in Duke Humphrey's death.
What dares not Warwick, if false Suffolk dare him?
He dares not claim his contumelious spirit, nor cease to be an arrogant and controller, though Suffolk dare him 20,000 times.
Madam, be still. With reverence, may I say, for every word you speak in his behalf is slander to your royal dignity.
Dull-witted lord, ignoble in demeanor, if ever lady wronged her lord so much, thy mother took into her blameful bed some stern, untutored churl, and noble stock was graft with crabtree slip, whose fruit thou art, and never of the Neville's noble race.
That my sovereign's presence makes me mild, I would, false murderous coward, on thy knee make thee beg pardon for thy passed speech, and say it was thy mother that thou mean'st, that thou thyself wast born in bastardy, and after all this fearful homage done, give thee thy hire, and send thy soul to hell, pernicious bloodsucker of sleeping men.
Thou shalt be waking while I shed thy blood, if from this presence thou darest go with me.
Unworthy though thou art, I'll cope with thee, and do some service to Duke Humphrey's ghost.
Suffolk and Warwick draw their weapons.
Oh, why, how now, lords, your wrathful weapons drawn here in our presence? Dare you be so bold?
A noise within. Re-enter Salisbury, calling back to the commoners.
Ours, stand apart. The king shall know your mind. dread lord, the commons send you word by me. Unless Lord Suffolk straight be done to death or banished fair England's territories, they will by violence tear him from your palace and torture him with grievous lingering death. They say by him the good Duke Humphrey died. They say in him they fear your highness' death. They say in care of your most royal person. And therefore do they cry, though you forbid, that they will guard you where you will or no. For such fell serpents as false Suffolk is, with whose envenomed and fatal sting your loving uncle, 20 times his worth, they say, is shamefully bereft of life.
Shouts from within.
'Tis like the commons, rude, unpolished hinds. Come, send such message to their sovereign. But you, my lord, were glad to be employed to show how quaint an orator you are. But all the honor Salisbury hath won is that he was the Lord Ambassador sent from a sort of tinkers to the king.
Pounding on the door. More shouts from within.
Go, Salisbury, and tell them all from me I thank them for their tender loving care. For sure my thoughts do hourly prophesy mischance unto my state by Suffolk's means, and therefore by his majesty I swear, whose far unworthy deputy I am, he shall not breathe infection in this air but 3 days longer, on the pain of death.
Exit Salisbury.
Oh, Henry, let me plead for gentle Suffolk.
Ungentle queen, to call him gentle Suffolk. No more, I say. If thou dost plead for him, thou wilt but add increase unto my wrath. If after 3 days' space thou here beest found on any ground that I am ruler of, the world shall not be ransomed for thy life. Come, Warwick, come, good Warwick, go with me. I have great matters to impart to thee.
Exeunt all but Queen Margaret and Suffolk.
Mischance and sorrow go along with you. Oh, heart's discontent and sour affliction be playfellows to keep you company. Here's 2 of you. The devil make a third, and threefold vengeance tend upon your steps.
Cease, gentle queen, the execrations, and let thy Suffolk take this heavy leave.
Fie, coward, woman, and soft-hearted wretch. Thou hast not spirit to curse thine enemies?
A plague upon them. Wherefore should I curse them? Could curses kill, as doth the mandrake's groan? I would invent as bitter searching terms, as cursed, as harsh, and horrible to hear, delivered strongly through my fixed teeth, with full of many signs of deadly hate. And even now my burdened heart would break, should I not curse them. Poison be their drink. Gall, worse than gall, the daintiest that they taste. Their sweetest shade, a grove of cypress trees. Their chiefest prospect, murdering basilisks. Their softest touch, as smart as lizards' stings. Their music, frightful as the serpent's hiss, and boding screech owls make the consort full. All the foul terrors in dark-seated hell.
Enough, sweet Suffolk, thou torment thyself.
You bade me bane, and will you bid me leave?
Oh, let me entreat thee, cease. Give me thy hand, that I may dew it with my mournful tears, nor let the rain of heaven wet this place to wash away my woeful monuments.
She kisses his hand.
Oh, could this kiss be printed in thy hand, that thou mightst think upon these as the seal, through whom 1,000 sighs are breathed for thee. I will repeal thee, or, be well assured, adventure to be banished myself. And banished I am, if but from thee. Oh, go not yet. Even thus, 2 friends condemned embrace and kiss, and take 10,000 leaves, loather 100 times than part to die.
They embrace.
Yet now farewell, and farewell life with thee.
Thus is poor Suffolk banished. 'Tis not the land I care for. Wert thou thence, a wilderness is populous enough. So Suffolk had thy heavenly company, for where thou art, there is the world itself, with every several pleasure in the world, and where there thou art not, desolation. I can no more. Live thou to joy thy life, myself no joy in naught, but that thou livest.
Enter messenger.
Whither go thou so?
To signify unto his majesty that Cardinal Beaufort is at point of death. For suddenly a grievous sickness took him that makes him gasp and stare and catch the air, blaspheming God and cursing men on earth. Sometimes he talks as if Duke Humphrey's ghost were by his side. Sometimes he calls the king and whispers to his pillow as to him the secrets of his overcharged soul. And I am sent to tell his majesty that even now he cries aloud for him.
Go, tell this heavy message to the king.
Exit messenger.
Ay me, what is this world? What news are these? But wherefore grieve I at an hour's poor loss, omitting Suffolk's exile, my soul's treasure? Now get thee hence. The king, thou knowest, is coming. If thou be found by me, thou art but dead.
If I depart from thee, I cannot live, and in thy sight to die, what were it else but like a pleasant slumber in thy lap? Here could I breathe my soul into the air, as mild and gentle as the cradle babe, dying with mother's dug between its lips, where from thy sight I should be raging mad, and cry out for thee to close up thine eyes, to have thee with thy lips to stop my mouth. So shouldest thou either turn my flying soul, or should I breathe it so into thy body, and then it lived in sweet Elysium. To die by thee were but to die in jest. From thee to die were torture more than death. Oh, let me stay, befall what may befall.
France, sweet Suffolk, let me hear from thee, for what thou art in this world's globe, I'll have an iris that shines thee out.
I go.
And take my heart with thee.
This way fall I to death.
Exeunt through different doors. Scene 3, a bedchamber. Enter King Henry, Salisbury, and Warwick. To the Cardinal in bed, raving and staring.
How fares my lord? Speak, Beaufort, to thy sovereign.
If thou beest deaf, I'd give thee England's treasure, enough to purchase such another island, so thou wilt let me live and feel no pain.
Good. It is thy sovereign speaks to thee.
Bring me unto my trial when you will. Died he not in his bed? Where would he die? What can I make men live, where they will or no? Oh, torture me no more. I will confess. Alive again. Then show me where he is. I'll give £1,000 to look upon him. He hath no eyes. The dust hath blinded them. Comb down his hair. Look, it stands upright, like lime wigs set to catch my winged soul. Give me some drink, and bid the apothecary bring the strong poison that I bought of him.
O thou eternal mover of the heavens, look with a gentle eye upon this wretch. Oh, beat away the busy meddling fiend that lays strong siege upon this wretch's soul, and from his bosom purge this black despair.
Pains of death do make him grin.
Peace to his soul, if God's good pleasure be. Lord Cardinal, if thou think'st on heaven's bliss, hold up thy hand, make signal of thy hope.
The Cardinal dies.
Oh, he dies and makes no sign. Oh, God forgive him.
Bad death argues a monstrous life.
Forbear to judge, for we are sinners all. Close up his eyes and draw the curtain close. And let us all to meditation.
After the curtains are closed around the bed, exeunt, the bed is removed. Act 4, Scene 1, the coast of Kent. Alarum, off-stage fight at sea. Ordnance goes off. Enter Lieutenant, the pirate Walter Whitmore, and Suffolk, captive and in disguise with other prisoners, including a gentleman.
Ah, the gaudy, blabbing, and remorseful day is crept into the bosom of the sea. And now loud howling wolves arouse the jades that drag the tragic melancholy night, who with their drowsy, slow, and flagging wings clip dead men's graves, and from their misty jaws breathe foul contagious darkness in the air. Therefore bring forth the soldiers of our prize, or whilst our pinnace anchors in the downs, here shall they make their ransom on the sand, or with their blood stain this discolored shore. Master, this prisoner freely give I thee, and thou art his mate. Make boot of this. The other, Walter Whitmore, is thy share.
3 prisoners, including Suffolk and a gentleman, are handed over.
I lost mine eye in weighing the prize aboard, and therefore to revenge it shalt thou die. And so should these, if I should have my will.
Ah, be not so rash. Take ransom, let him live.
Look on my George. I am a gentleman. Rate me at what thou wilt. Thou shalt be paid.
It's Suffolk's line.
Oh, sorry.
All right, go on, keep going.
Okay. And so am I. My name is Walter Whitmore. How now? Why starts thou? What? Just death from fright?
Thy name affrights me, in whose sound is death. A cunning man did calculate my birth, and told me that by water I should die. Yet let not this make thee be bloody-minded. Stay, Whitmore, for thy prisoner is a prince, the Duke of Suffolk, William de la Pole.
The Duke of Suffolk, muffled up in rags?
Aye, but these rags are no part of the Duke. Jove sometimes went disguised, and why not I?
By Jove was never slain, as thou shalt be.
Obscure and lousy swain, King Henry's blood, the honorable blood of Lancaster, must not be shed by such a jaded groom. Hast thou not kissed thy hand and held my stirrup, bareheaded, plodded by my footcloth mule, and thought thee happy when I shook my head? How often hast thou waited at my cup, fed from my treacher, kneeled down at the board, when I have feasted with Queen Margaret? Remember it, and let it make thee crestfallen. Aye, and allay this thy abortive pride. How in thy voiding lobby hast thou stood and duly waited for my coming forth? This hand of mine hath writ in thy behalf, and therefore shalt charm thy riotous tongue.
Convey him hence, and on our longboat's side strike off his head.
Thou darest not for thy own.
Yes, Pole.
Pole.
Pole, Sir Pole, Lord, thy kennel, puddle sink, whose filth and dirt troubles the silver spring where England drinks. Now will I dam up this thy yawning mouth for swallowing the treasure of the realm. Thy lips that kiss the queen shall sweep the ground, And thou that smiled at good Duke Humphrey's death against the senseless winds shall grin in vain. Ah, who in contempt shall hiss at thee again, and wedded be thou to the hags of hell, for daring to affiance a mighty lord unto the daughter of a worthless king, having neither subject, wealth, nor diadem. By Delvish policy art thou grown great. By the Anjou and Maine were sold to France. The false revolting Normans throw thee disdain to call us lords. And Picardy hath slain thy governors, surprised our forts, and Saint the ragged soldiers wounded home. The princely Warwick and the Nevilles all, whose dreadful swords were never drawn in vain, as hating these are rising up in arms. And now the house of York, thus from the crown, by shameful murder of a guiltless king and lofty, proud, encroaching tyranny, burns with revenging life, whose hopeful colors advance our half-faced sun, striving to shine. The commons here in Kent are up in arms, and to conclude, reproach and beggary is crept into the palace of our king, and all by thee. Away! Convey him hence.
Oh, that I were a god to shoot forth thunder upon these paltry, servile, abject drudges. Small things make base men proud. This villain here, being captain of a pinnace, threatens more than Bargolus, the strong Illyrian pirate. Drones suck not eagle's blood, but rob beehives. It is impossible that I should die by such a lowly vassal as thyself. Thy words move rage and not remorse in me. I go of message from the Queen of France. I charge thee waft me safely across the channel.
Come, Suffolk, I must waft thee to the death.
Whitmore advances and Suffolk backs away.
What, are you daunted now? Now will you stoop?
Suffolk's imperial tongue is stern and rough, used to command, untaught to plead for favor. Far be it, we should honor such as these with humble suit. No, rather let my head stoop to the block, than these knaves bow to any save to the God of heaven and to my king, and sooner dance upon a bloody pole than stand uncovered to the vulgar groom. True nobility is exempt from fear. More can I bear than you dare execute.
Hale him away, and let him talk no more.
Great men oft die by vile Bezonians. A Roman sorter and bandito slave murdered sweet Tully. Brutus, bastard hand, stabbed Julius Caesar. Savage islanders, Pompey the Great. And Suffolk dies by pirates.
Exit Whitmore with Suffolk.
And as for these whose ransom we will set, it is our pleasure one of them depart. Therefore come with us, and let him go.
Re-enter Whitmore with the body and severed head of Suffolk.
There let his head and lifeless body lie, until the queen, his mistress, bury it.
Exeunt Whitmore, lieutenant, and the remaining prisoner. Gentleman stays behind.
A barbarous and bloody spectacle. His body will I bear unto the king. If he revenge it not, yet will his friends, so will the queen that living held him dear.
Exit gentleman with the head and body. Scene 2, Blackheath. Drum. Commoners abound, all with staves. Enter Jack Cade, Dick the Butcher, and more laborers, with infinite numbers, also with staves.
We, John Cade, so termed of our supposed father, inspired with the spirit of putting down kings and princes, commands silence.
Silence!
My father was a Mortimer.
He was an honest man and a good bricklayer.
My mother, a Plantagenet.
I knew her well. She was a midwife.
My wife, descendant of the Lacys.
She was indeed a peddler's daughter and sold many laces.
Therefore, am I of an honorable house.
Aye, by my faith, the field is honorable, and there was he born under a hedge, for his father never had a house but the cage.
Valiant I am.
He must needs, but for beggary is valiant.
I am able to endure much.
No question of that, for I have seen him whipped 3 market days together.
I fear neither sword nor fire.
And methinks he should stand in fear of fire, being burnt in the hand for stealing of sheep.
Be brave then, for your captain is brave and vows reformation. All the realm shall be in common, and in Cheapside shall my path free go to grass. And when I am king, as king I will be.
Hey!
I thank you, good people. There shall be no money. All shall eat and drink on my score. And I will apparel them all in one livery, that they may agree like brothers and worship me, their lord.
The first thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers.
And nay, that I mean to do. Is not this a lamentable thing, that of the skin of an innocent lamb should be made parchment, that parchment being scribbled over should undo a man? Some say the bee stings, but I say 'tis the bee's wax. For I did but seal once to a thing, and I was never mine own man since. How now? Who's there?
Rebellious hinds, the filth and scum of Kent, marked for the gallows, lay your weapons down. Home to your cottages, forsake this groom. The king is merciful if you revolt, but angry, wrathful, and inclined to blood if you go forward. Therefore yield or die.
As for this silken-coated knave, I pass not. It is to you, good people, that I speak, over whom in time to come I hope to reign, for I am the rightful heir unto the crown.
Villain, thy father was a plasterer, and thou thyself a shearman, art thou not?
And Adam was a gardener.
And what of that?
Marry this. Edmund Mortimer, Earl of March, married the Duke of Clarence's daughter, did he not?
Aye, sir.
By her, he had 2 children at one birth.
That's false.
Aye, there's the question, but I say 'tis true. The elder of them, being put to nurse, was by a beggar woman stolen away, and ignorant of his birth and parentage, became a bricklayer when he came to age. His son I am, deny it if you can.
Jack Cade, the Duke of York, hath taught you this.
Ha! He lies! For I invented it myself. Go to, sirrah, tell the king from me that for his father's sake, Henry V, in whose time boys went to span counter for French crowns, I am content he shall reign, but I'll be protector over him.
And furthermore, we'll have the Lord say's head for selling the dukedom of Maine.
And good reason, for thereby is England mained, and fain to go with a staff, but to my presence holds it up. Fellow kings, I tell you that Lord Say hath gelded the Commonwealth and made it an eunuch. And more than that, he can speak French, and therefore he is a traitor.
Oh, gross and miserable ignorance.
Hey, answer it if you can. The Frenchmen are our enemies. Go to then. I ask but this. Can he that speaks with the tongue of an enemy be a good counselor? Or no?
No, and therefore we'll have his head.
Hurled away, and throughout every town proclaim them traitors that are up with Cade, that those which fly before the battle ends may, even in their wives' and children's sight, be hanged up, for example, at their doors. And you that be the king's friends, follow me.
And you that love the commons, follow me. Now show yourselves men, 'tis for liberty. We will not leave one lord, one gentleman, spare none but such as go in clouded shoon, for they are thrifty, honest men, and such as would, but that they dare not, take our parts. Come, forward!
The commoners attack. Alarms to the fight, wherein Stafford is slain.
Ah, where's Dick, the butcher of Ashford?
Here, sir.
They fell before thee like sheep and oxen, and thou behavest thyself as if thou hadst been in thine own slaughterhouse. Therefore, thus will I reward thee. The Lent shall be as long again as it is, and thou shalt have a license to kill for 100 lacking one.
I desire no more.
And to speak truth, thou deserves no less. This monument of the victory will I bear.
He puts on Sir Humphrey Stafford's armor and helmet.
And the bodies shall be dragged at my horse heels till I do come to England, where we shall have the mayor's sword borne before us.
If we mean to thrive and do good, break open the jails and let out the prisoners.
Fear not that, I warrant thee. Come, let's march towards London.
Exeunt with the body. Scene 3, London, the palace. Enter King Henry with a supplication, and Queen Margaret with Suffolk's head. Buckingham and the lords say,
Oft have I heard that grief softens the mind and makes it fearful and degenerate. Think therefore on revenge and cease to weep. But who can cease to weep and look on this? Here may his head lie on my throbbing breast, but where's the body that I should embrace?
What answer makes your grace to the rebels' supplication?
I'll send some holy bishop to entreat, for God forbid so many simple souls should perish by the sword. And I myself, rather than bloody war shall cut them short, will parley with Jack Cade, their general. But stay, I'll read it over once again.
He reads,
Barbarous villains, hath this lovely face ruled like a wandering planet over me, and could it not enforce them to relent that were unworthy to behold the same?
Lord say, Jack Cade hath sworn to have thy head.
Aye, but I hope your highness shall have his.
And how now, madam? Still lamenting and mourning for Suffolk's death? I fear me, love, that if that I had been dead, thou wouldst not have mourned so much for me.
No, my love, I should not mourn, but die for thee.
Enter a messenger.
How now, what news? Why comes thou in such haste?
The rebels have got in London Bridge. Jack Kane proclaims himself Lord Mortimer, descended from the Duke of Clarence house, and calls your grace usurper openly, and vows to crown himself in Westminster. His army is a ragged multitude of hinds and peasants, rude and merciless. Sir Humphrey Stafford's brutal, bloody death hath given them heart and courage to proceed. All scholars, lawyers, courtiers, gentlemen, they call false caterpillars and intend their death.
Oh, graceless men, they know not what they do.
My gracious lord, retire to Killingworth until a power be raised to put them down.
Were the Duke of Suffolk now alive, these Kentish rebels would be soon appeased.
Would say, the traitors hateth thee, therefore away with us to Killingworth.
So might your grace's person be in danger. The sight of me is odious in their eyes, and therefore in this city will I stay and live alone, as secret as I may. So linger not, my lord, away, take horse.
Come, Margaret, God, our hope, will succor us.
My hope is gone, now Suffolk is deceased.
Farewell, my lord, trust not the Kentish rebels.
Trust nobody, for fear you be betrayed.
The trust I have is in mine innocence, and therefore am I bold and resolute.
Exeunt. Scene 4, London. Enter Jack Cade, Dick, and the rest of the army.
Now is Mortimer lord of the city, and here, sitting upon London stone, I charge and command that of the city's cost, the pissing conduit run nothing but claret wine this first year of our reign, and that the laws of England may only come out of my mouth. Burn all the records of the realm. My mouth shall be the Parliament of England, and now, henceforth, it shall be treason for any that calls me other than Lord Mortimer.
Enter first soldier running.
Jack Cade! Jack Cade!
Knock him down there.
They kill the soldier.
If this fellow be wise, he'll never call you Jack Cade more. I think he had a very fair warning.
Dick takes a paper from the dead soldier and reads the message.
Come, let us go and set London Bridge on fire. And if we can, burn down the tower too.
My lord, there's an army gathered together nearby.
Come then, let's go fight with them.
Alarums. The royal army surprises the common army. Battle. The royal army is slain on stage.
So, sirs, now go some and pull down the Savoy, others to the inns of court. Down with them all.
Enter second soldier with Lord Say as prisoner.
My lord, a prize, here's the Lord Say, which sold the towns in France. Oh, he that made us pay 1 20 and 1 shilling to the pound, the last subsidy.
Well, he shall be beheaded for it 10 times. Ah, thou say, thou surge, nay, thou buckrime lord. Now what canst thou answer to my majesty for giving up Normandy unto the Dauphin of France? Be it known unto thee by these presents, even the presence of Lord Mortimer, that I am the bosom that must sweep the court clean of such filth as thou art. Thou hast most traitorously corrupted the youth of the realm in erecting a grammar school. And whereas before our forefathers had no other books but the score and the tally, thou hast caused printing to be used, and contrary to the king, his crown, and dignity, thou hast built a paper mill. It will be proved to thy face that thou hast men about thee that usually talk of a noun and a verb, and such abominable words as no Christian ear can endure to hear. Thou hast appointed justices of peace to call poor men before them about matters they were not able to answer. Moreover, thou hast put them in prison, and because they could not read, thou hast hanged them, when indeed only for that cause that they have been most worthy to live. Thou dost ride on a footcloth, dost thou not?
What of that?
Marry, thou oughtst not to let thy horse wear a cloak when honester men than thou go in their hose and doublets.
And work in their shirts too, as myself, for example, that am a butcher.
You men of Kent.
What say you of Kent?
Nothing but this. 'Tis bona terra mala gens.
Away with him! Away with him! He speaks Latin!
Hear me but speak, and bear me where you will. Kent, in the commentaries Caesar writ, is termed the civilest place of all this isle, which makes me hope you are not void of pity. I sold not Maine, I lost not Normandy, yet to recover them would lose my life. Justice with favor have I always done. Prayers and tears have moved me. Gifts could never. When have I aught exacted at your hands? Kent to maintain? The king, the realm, and you? Large gifts have I bestowed on learned clerks, because my book preferred me to the king. And seeing ignorance is the curse of God, knowledge the wing wherewith we fly to heaven. Unless you be possessed with devilish spirits, you cannot but forbear to murder me. This tongue hath parleyed unto foreign kings. Great men have reaching hands. Oft have I struck those that I never saw, and struck them dead.
Oh, monstrous coward! What, to come behind folks?
These cheeks are pale for watching for your good.
Give him a box of the ear, and that will make him red again.
Why dost thou quiver, man?
The policy, and not fear, provokes me.
Nay, he nods at us as who would say, I'll be even with you. I'll see if his head will stand steady on a pole or no. Take him away and behead him.
Tell me, wherein have I offended most? Have I affected wealth or horror? Speak. Are my chests filled up with extorted gold? Is my apparel sumptuous to behold? Whom have I injured, that you seek my death? These hands are free from guiltless bloodshedding, this breast from harboring foul deceitful thoughts. Oh, let me live.
I feel remorse in myself with his words. But I'll bridle it. He shall die, and it be but for pleading so well for his life. Away with him. He has a familiar under his tongue. He speaks not in God's name. Go, take him away, I say, and strike off his head presently. And then break into his son-in-law's house, Sir James Cromer, and strike off his head, and bring them both upon 2 poles hither.
Shall be done.
Exit second soldier with others and Lord say.
The proudest peer in the realm shall not wear a head on his shoulders unless he pay me tribute. There shall not be a maid but married, but she shall pay to me her maidenhead ere they have it. Men shall hold of me in capite, and we charge and command that their wives be as free as heart can wish or tongue can tell.
My lord, when shall we go to Cheapside and take up commodities on our bills?
Marry, presently.
Soldier with the heads of Lord Say and Sir James Cromer on poles.
But is this not braver? Let them kiss one another, for they loved well when they were alive.
The heads are brought together.
Now part them again, lest they consult about the giving up of some more towns in France. Soldiers, with these born before us, we will ride through the streets, and at every corner have them kiss. Away, up Fish Street, down St. Magnus Corner, kill and knock down, throw them into the Thames.
Some soldiers exit with the heads. Sound a parley. Cade turns back.
What noise is this I hear? Dare any be so bold to sound retreat or parley when I command them kill?
Enter Buckingham, old Clifford with attendants.
Aye, here they be that dare and will disturb thee. No, Cade, we come ambassadors from the king unto the commons, whom they has misled, and here pronounce free pardon to them all, that will forsake thee and go home in peace.
What say you, countrymen? Will you relent and yield to mercy while 'tis offered you? Or let a rabble lead you to your deaths? Who loves the king and will embrace his pardon? Fling up his cap and say, God save his majesty. Who hateth him and honors not his father, Henry V, that made all France to quake. Shake he his weapon at us and pass by.
God save the king! God save the king!
The commoner army fling their caps in the air.
What, Buckingham and Clifford, are you so brave? And you, base peasants, do you believe him? Will you needs be hanged with your pardons about your necks? Hath my sword therefore broke through London gates, that you should leave me now? I thought you would have never given out these arms till you had recovered your ancient freedom. But you are recreants and dastards, and delight to live in slavery to the nobility. Let them break your backs with burdens, take your houses over your heads, ravish your wives and daughters before your face. For me, I will make shift for one, and so God's curse light upon you all.
We'll follow Cade. We'll follow Cade.
Is Cade the son of Henry V, that thus you do exclaim you'll go with him? Will he conduct you through the heart of France and make the meanest of you earls and dukes? Alas, he hath no home, no place to fly to, nor knows he how to live but by the spoil, unless by robbing of your friends and us. Were't not shame that whilst you live at jar, the fearful French, whom you late vanquished, should make a start o'er seas and vanquish you? Methinks already in this civil broil, I see them lording it in London streets, crying, Villaggio, unto all they meet. Better 10,000 base-born Cades miscarry than you should stoop unto a Frenchman's mercy. To France, and get what you have lost. Spare England, for it is your native coast. Henry hath money, you are strong and manly. God on our side, doubt not of victory.
Clifford, Clifford, we'll follow the king and Clifford.
Was ever feather
so lightly blown to and fro as this multitude? The name of Henry V hails them to 100 mischiefs and makes them leave me desolate. I see them lay their heads together to surprise me. My sword, make way for me, for here is no stain. And despite of the devils and hell, have though the very midst of you, heavens and honor be witness to no want of resolution in me, but only my followers' base and ignominious treasons makes me betake me to my heels.
Exit Cade running.
What? Is he fled? Go, some, and follow him. And he that brings his head unto the king shall have 1,000 crowns for his reward.
Some of them exit.
Follow me, soldiers. We'll devise a means to reconcile you all unto the king.
Exeunt. Scene 5, Kenilworth Castle. Sound trumpets. Enter King Henry, Queen Margaret, and Somerset on the terrace aloft.
Was ever king that joyed an earthly throne and could command no more content than I? No sooner was I crept out of my cradle, but I was made a king at 9 months old. I was never subject long to be a king, as I do long and wish to be a subject.
Enter Buckingham and old Clifford.
Health and glad tidings to your majesty.
Why, Buckingham, is the traitor Cade surprised, or is he retired to make him strong?
Enter below multitudes of the commoner army with halters about their necks.
He is fled, my lord, and all his powers do yield, and humbly thus, with halters on their necks, expect your highness's doom of life or death.
Then heaven set ope thy everlasting gates to entertain my vows of thanks and praise. Soldiers, this day have you redeemed your lives and showed how well you love your prince and country. Continue still in this so good a mind, and Henry, though he be infortunate, assure yourselves will never be unkind. And so with thanks and pardon to you all, I do dismiss you to your several countries.
The multitudes exit, cheering.
God save the king!
Save the king.
Enter a messenger.
Please your grace to be advised. The Duke of York is newly come from Ireland, and with a puissant and a mighty power of gallant glasses and stout kerns. He's marching hitherward in proud array, and still proclaimeth as he comes along, his arms are only to remove from thee the Duke of Somerset, whom he terms a traitor.
Oh, thus stands my state twixt Cade and York distressed. Like to a ship that have scaped the tempest is straightway calmed and boarded with a pirate. But now is Cade driven back, his men dispersed, and now is York in arms to second him. I pray thee, Buckingham, go and meet him, and ask him what's the reason of these arms. Tell him I'll send Duke Edmund to the Tower, and Somerset, we will commit thee thither until his army be dismissed from him.
My lord, I'll yield myself to prison willingly, or unto death, to do my country good.
In any case, be not too rough in terms, for he is fierce and cannot brook hard language.
I will, my lord, and doubt not so to deal. as all things shall rebound unto your good.
Wife, let's in and learn to govern better, for yet may England curse my wretched brain.
Flourish. Exeunt. Scene 6, Kent, Iden's garden. Enter Cade.
Fie on ambitions, fie on myself, that have a sword, and yet am ready to famish. These 5 days have I hid me in the woods, and durst not peep out, for all the country is laid for me. But now I am so hungry that if I might have a lease of my life for 1,000 years, I could stay no longer. Wherefore, over a brick wall have I climbed into this garden, to see if I can eat grass or pick a salad another while, which is not amiss to cool a man's stomach this hot weather.
Enter Iden and his men.
Oh, here's the lord of the soil come to seize me for a stray for entering his fee simple without leave. Ah, villain, thou wilt betray me and get 1,000 crowns of the king for becaring my head to him. But I'll make thee eat iron like an ostrich and swallow my sword like a great pin ere thou and I part.
He draws his sword.
Why, rude companion, whatsoe'er thou be, I know thee not. Why then should I betray thee? Is it not enough to break into my garden and like a thief to come to rob my grounds, climbing my walls in spite of me, the owner? But thou wilt brave me with these saucy terms?
Brave thee? Aye, by the best blood that ever was broached, and beard thee too. Look on me well. I have eat no meat these 5 days, yet come thou and thy 5 men. And if I do not leave you all as dead as a doornail, I pray God I may never eat grass more.
Nay, it shall ne'er be said while England stands that Alexander Iden, an esquire of Kent, took odds to combat a poor famished man. Oppose thy steadfast gazing eyes to mine. See if thou canst outface me with thy looks. Set limb to limb, and thou art far the lesser. Thy hand is but a finger to my fist, thy leg a stick compared with this truncheon. My foot shall fight with all the strength thou hast. And if mine arm be heaved in the air, thy grave is digged already in the earth. As for words, whose greatness answers words, let this my sword report what speech forbears.
He draws his sword. Here they fight, and Cade fails.
Oh, I am slain. Famine, and no other had slain me. Let 10,000 devils come against me and give me but the 10 meals I have lost, and I defy them all. Wither, garden, and be henceforth a burying place to all that do dwell in this house, because the unconquered soul of Cade is fled.
Is it Cade I have slain, that monstrous traitor? Sword, I will hallow thee for this thy deed, and hang thee o'er my tomb when I am dead. Ne'er shall this blood be wiped from thy point, but thou shalt wear it as a herald's coat, to emblaze the honor that thy master got.
Iden, farewell, and be proud of thy victory. Tell Kent from me she hath lost her best man, and exhort all the world to be cowards. For I, that never feared any, am vanquished by famine, not by valor.
He dies.
How much thou wrongest me, heaven be thy judge. Die, damned wretch, the curse of her that bare thee. And as I thrust thy body in with my sword, so wish I might thrust thy soul to hell. Hence will I drag thee headlong by the heels unto a dunghill which shall be thy grave, and there cut off thy most ungracious head, which I will bear in triumph to the king, leaving thy trunk for crows to feed upon.
Exit Iden with his men, dragging Cade's body. Act 5, Scene 1, fields between Rochford and Blackheath. Enter York, wearing the white rose, and his army of Irish with attendants, drum and colours.
From Ireland thus comes York to claim his right and pluck down the crown from feeble Henry's head. Ring bells aloud, burn bonfires clear and bright to entertain great England's lawful king. Let them obey that knows not how to rule. This hand was made to handle naught but gold. I cannot give due action to my words, except a sword or scepter balance it. A scepter shall it have I a soul, on which I'll toss the fleur de luce of France.
Enter Buckingham, wearing the red rose.
Whom have we here? Buckingham, to disturb me? The king hath sent him, sure. I must dissemble.
York, if thou meanest well, I greet thee well.
Humphrey of Buckingham, I accept thy greeting. Art thou a messenger, or come of pleasure?
A messenger from Henry, our dread liege, to know the reason of these arms in peace, or why thou, being a subject as I am, against thy oath and true allegiance sworn, should raise so great a power without his leave, or dare to bring thy force so near the court.
Scarce can I speak, my choler is so great. Oh, I could hew up rocks and fight with flint. I am so angry at these abject terms. I am far better born than is the king, more like a king, more kingly in my thoughts. But I must make fair weather yet a while, till Henry be more weak, and I more strong. Buckingham, I prithee pardon me. The cause why I have brought this army hither is to remove proud Somerset from the king, seditious to his grace and to the state.
That is too much presumption on thy part. But if thy arms be to no other end, the king hath yielded unto thy demand. The Duke of Somerset is in the Tower.
Upon thine honor, is he prisoner?
Upon my honor, he is prisoner.
Then, Buckingham, I do dismiss my powers. Soldiers, I thank you all. Disperse yourselves. Meet me tomorrow in St. George's Field. You shall have pay and everything you wish. And let my sovereign virtuous Henry command my eldest sons, nay, all my sons, as pledges of fealty and love. I'll send them all as willing as I live. Lands, goods, horse, armor, anything I have to his use, so Somerset may die.
York, I commend this kind of submission. We train will go into his highness' tent.
They walk arm in arm. Enter King Henry and attendants.
Buckingham, doth York intend no harm to us, that thus he marcheth with thee arm in arm?
In all submission and humility, York doth present himself unto your highness.
Then what intends these forces thou dost bring?
To heave on, to heave the traitor Somerset from hence, and fight against that monstrous rebel Cade, who, since I heard, to be discomfited.
Enter Iden with Cade's head.
If one so rude and of so mean condition may pass into the presence of a king, lo, I present your grace with a traitor's head, the head of Cade, whom I in combat slew.
The head of Cade? Great God, how just art thou! Oh, let me view this his visage, being dead, that living wrought me such exceeding trouble. Tell me, my friend, art thou the man that slew him?
I was, and it like your majesty.
How art thou called, and what is thy degree?
Alexander Iden, that is my name, a poor esquire of Kent that loves the king.
So please it you, my lord, 'twas not amiss he were created knight for his good service.
Iden, kneel down.
He kneels.
Rise up, a knight.
He rises.
We will give thee for reward 1,000 marks. And will that thou then henceforth attend on us?
May Iden live to merit such a bounty, and never live but true unto his liege.
Enter Queen Margaret and Somerset wearing the red rose.
See, Buckingham, Somerset comes with the queen. Go, bid her hide him quickly from the Duke.
Buckingham whispers to the queen.
4,000 Yorks he shall not hide his head, but boldly stand and front him to his face.
How now? Is Somerset at liberty? Then, York, unloose thy long imprisoned thoughts, and let thy tongue be equal with thy heart. Shall I endure the sight of Somerset? False king, why hast thou broken faith with me, knowing how hardly I can brook abuse? King, did I call thee? Oh, no, thou art not king, not fit to govern and rule multitude, which darest not, no, nor canst not rule a traitor. That head of thine doth not become a crown. Thy hand is made to grasp a palmer's staff, and not to grace an awful princely scepter. That gold must round and girt these brows of mine, who smile and frown, like to Achilles' spear, is able with the change to kill and cure. Here is a hand to hold a scepter up, and with the same to act controlling laws. Give place by heaven, thou shalt rule no more over him whom heaven created for thy ruler.
Monstrous traitor! I arrest thee, York, of capital treason against the king and crown. Obey, audacious traitor. Kneel for grace.
Wouldst have me kneel? First, let me ask of these if they can brook a bow and knee to man. Sirrah, call in my sons to be my bail. I know, ere they will have me go to ward, they'll pawn their swords for my enfranchisement.
Call hither Clifford, bid him come amain, to say that the bastard boys of York shall be the surety of their traitor father.
Oh, blood-bespotted Neapolitan, outcast of Naples, England's bloody scourge. The sons of York, thy betters in their birth, shall be their father's bail, and bane to those that for my surety will refuse the boys.
Enter York's sons, Edward and Richard, wearing the white rose.
See where they come. I'll warrant they'll make it good.
Enter old Clifford and his son, young Clifford, wearing the red rose.
And here comes Clifford to deny their bail.
Old Clifford kneels before King Henry.
Health and all happiness to my lord the king.
York.
I thank thee, Clifford. He rises, I see, yes. Say, what news with thee? Nay, do not fright us with an angry look. We are thy sovereign, Clifford. Kneel again. For thy mistaking so, we pardon thee.
This is my king, York. I do not mistake. But thou mistakes me much to think I do. To bedlam with him. Is the man grown mad?
Aye, Clifford of bedlam and ambitious humor makes him oppose himself against his king.
He is a traitor. Let him to the tower and chop away that factious pate of his.
He is arrested, but will not obey. His sons, he says, shall give their words for him.
Will you not, sons?
Aye, noble father, if our words will serve, and if words will not, then our weapons shall.
Why, what a brood of traitors have we here!
Look in a glass, and call thy image so. I am thy king, and thou a false heart traitor. Call hither to the stake my two brave bears, that, with the very shaking of their chains, they may astonish these fell lurking curs.
Exit and attendant. Enter Warwick and Salisbury wearing the white rose. Why, Warwick, hath thy knee forgot to bow? Old Salisbury, shame to thy silver hair, thou mad misleader of thy brain-sick son! What, wilt thou on thy deathbed play the ruffian and seek for sorrow with thy spectacles? Oh, where is faith? Oh, where is loyalty? If it be banished from the frosty head where it shall find a harbor in the earth, wilt thou go dig a grave to find out war and shame thy honorable age with blood? Why art thou old and want'st experience? Or wherefore dost abuse it if thou hast it? For shame! In duty bend thy knee to me, that bows unto the grave with mickle age. Salisbury.
Yeah, okay. My lord, I have considered with myself the title of this most renowned duke, and in my conscience do repute his grace, the rightful heir to England's royal seat.
Hast thou not sworn allegiance unto me?
I have.
Canst thou dispense with heaven for such an oath?
It is great sin to swear unto a sin, but greater sin to keep a sinful oath. Who can be bound by any solemn vow to do a murderous deed, to rob a man, to force a spotless virgin's chastity, to reave the orphan of his patrimony, to wring the widow from her accustomed right, and have no other reason for this wrong but that he was bound by a solemn oath?
Oh, for your knees, no sophister.
Call Buckingham and bid him arm himself.
Exit an attendant.
Call Buckingham and all the friends thou hast. I am resolved for death or dignity.
The first I warrant thee if dreams prove true.
Best to go to bed and dream again, to keep thee from the tempest of the field.
I am resolved to bear a greater storm than any thou canst conjure up today, and that I'll write upon thy burgonet, might I know thee but by a house's badge.
Now, by my father's badge, old Neville's crest, the rampant bear chained to the ragged staff, this day I'll wear aloft my burgonet, as on a mountain top the cedar shows that keeps his leaves in spite of any storm, even to affright thee with the view thereof.
And from thy burgonet I'll rend thy bear, and tread it under foot with all contempt, despite the bear herd that protects the bear.
And so to arms, victorious father, to quell the rebels and their compasses.
Aye, Charity, for shame. Speak not in spite, for you shall sup with Jesu Christ tonight.
Thou stigmatic, that's more than thou canst tell.
If not in heaven, you'll surely sup in hell.
Exeunt separately. Scene 2, St. Albans battlefield. The sign of the Castle Inn is displayed. Alarms. Enter York wearing the white rose.
Now, when the angry trumpet sounds alarm, and dead men's cries do fill the empty air, Clifford, I say, come forth and fight with me. The deadly-handed Clifford slew my steed, but match to match I have encountered him and made a prey for carrion kites and crows, even in the bonny beast he loves so well.
Enter old Clifford wearing the red rose.
What seest thou in me, York? Why dost thou pause?
With thy brave bearing should I be in love. but that thou art so fast mine enemy.
Nor should thy prowess one praise and esteem, but that 'tis shown ignobly and in treason.
So let it help me now against thy sword, as I in justice and true right express it.
My soul and body on the action both.
A dreadful lay. Address thee instantly.
They fight, and old Clifford falls.
La fin couronne au les oeuvres.
He dies.
Thus war hath given thee peace, for thou art still. Peace with his soul, heaven, if it be thy will.
Exit York. Enter young Clifford wearing the red rose.
Shame and confusion. All is on the rout. Fair flames disorder, and disorder wounds where it should guard. O war, thou son of hell, whom angry heavens do make their minister, throw in the frozen bosoms of our part hot coals of vengeance. Let no soldier fly. He that is truly dedicated to war hath no self-love, nor he that loves himself hath not essentially, but by circumstance, the name of valor.
He sees his father lying dead.
Oh, let the vile world end in the premise flames of the last day that earth and heaven together. Now let the general trumpets blow his blast, particularities and petty sounds to cease. Wast thou ordained, dear father, to lose thy youth in peace, and to achieve the silver livery of advised age, and in thy reverence in thy chair days thus to die in ruffian battle? Even at this sight, my heart is turned to stone, and while 'tis mine it shall be stony. York not our old men spares, no more will I their babes. Tears Virgil shall be to me even as the dews of fire, and beauty, that the tyrant offer claim shall be to my flaming wrath be oil and flax. Henceforth I will not have to do with pity. Meet I an infant of the house of York, into as many gobbets will I cut it as wild Medea did, young Absyrtus did. In cruelty will I seek out my fame.
He takes his father's body onto his back.
Down the ruin of old Clifford's house, as old Aeneas did all the Achaeans bear, so bear I thee upon my manly shoulders. But then Aeneas bear a living load, nothing so heavy as these loads of mine.
Exit young Clifford with his father's body. Enter Richard wearing the white rose and Somerset wearing the red rose to fight. Richard kills Somerset under the sign of Castle Inn.
Oh, lie thou there, for underneath an alehouse paltry sign, the castle in St. Albans, Somerset hath made the wizard famous in his death. Sword, hold thy temper, heart be wrathful still, priests pay for enemies, but princes kill.
Exit Richard, fight. Excursions. Enter King Henry and Queen Margaret, both wearing the red rose, and others.
Away, my lord, you are slow, for shame, away!
Can we outrun the heavens? Good Margaret, stay.
What are you made of? You'll nor fight, nor fly. Now it is manhood, wisdom, and defense to give the enemy way, and to secure us by what way we can, which can no more but fly.
Alarum far off.
If you be tame, we then shall see the bottom of all our fortunes. But if we haply escape, as well we may, if not through your neglect, we shall to London get, where you are loved, and where this breach now in our fortunes shall readily be stopped.
Re-enter young Clifford wearing the red rose.
But that my heart's on future mischief set, I would speak blasphemy ere I bid you fly, but fly you must. Uncurable discomfort reigns in the hearts of all our present parts. Away for your relief, and we will live to see their day, and them our fortune give. Away, my lord, away!
Exeunt. Scene 3. Fields near St. Albans. Alarum. Retreat. Enter York, Edward, Richard, and Warwick. soldiers, all wearing the white rose with drums and colors.
Of Salisbury? Who can report of him, that winter lion, who in rage forgets aged contusions in all brush of time, and, like a gallant in the brow of youth, prepares him with occasion? This happy day is not itself, nor have we won 1 foot, if Salisbury be lost.
My noble father, 3 times today I holp him to his horse, 3 times bestride him. Thrice I led him off, persuaded him from any further act. But still, where danger was, still there I met him, and like rich hangings in a homely house, so was his will in his old feeble body. But, noble as he is, look where he comes.
Enter Salisbury,
wearing the white rose. Richard.
Now by my sword, well hast thou fought today.
By the mass, so did we all. I thank you, Richard. God knows how long it is I have to live, and it hath pleased him that 3 times today you have defended me from imminent death. Well, lords, we have not got that which we have. 'Tis not enough. Our foes are this time fled, being opposites of such repairing nature.
I know our safety is to follow them, for, as I fear, the king is fled to London to call a present court of parliament. Let us pursue him ere the writs go forth. What says Lord Warwick? Shall we after them?
After them? Nay, before them, if we can. Now, by my hand, lords, 'twas a glorious day. St. Albans' battle won by famous York shall be eternized in all age to come. Sound drum and trumpets, and to London all, and more such days as these to us befall.
Flourish. Exeunt. End of play.
Boo! Boo!